Oh, good, you're here. No glue on this, no suction either. It just holds like a gecko's foot. Welcome back to Weinstein. A gecko hangs upside down on smooth glass, held by a single toe. No glue, no suction cups, no claws. Below it, a sheer, slippery drop with nothing to grip. Yet it clings as if gravity doesn't apply to it. How? It doesn't just hang, it takes off running. Straight up, vertical glass and upside down across the ceiling, sticking and unsticking hundreds of times a second, at full speed. This isn't a circus trick, it's physics, hidden in its toes. And we've already stolen this trick. The same principle now lets robots climb walls, lets orbital grippers catch satellites where suction cups fail, and gives surgeons hope of sealing wounds inside the body. All from one lizard's foot. Start with the puzzle itself. Glass is a nightmare for anything that grips smooth, dry, vertical, with no texture, no crack, no fiber to catch a claw on. Most animals would simply slide off. The gecko runs straight up it. Suction cups? They need outside air pressure to work, but a gecko holds on even in a vacuum, where suction is useless, ruled out. Glue? A gecko leaves no residue, no sticky mark. Its toes stay dry and clean, and glue would wear out after one use, not thousands. Ruled out too. Claws can't grip mirror-smooth glass, nothing to dig into. Static electricity? Geckos hold on perfectly well, even where no static exists. One familiar explanation after another falls apart. Something far more subtle is at work here. The answer was hiding at a scale we simply couldn't see. It took powerful microscopes to find it. The gecko's secret isn't a special substance at all. Its shape, a geometry too fine for the naked eye to make out. Zoom into a gecko's toe pad and you'll find it's lined with fine ridges, like pages in a book. Already unusual, but this is only the first layer. The real wonder appears once we zoom in much further. Each ridge is covered in a dense forest of microscopic hairs called setae. A single toe carries millions of them, each hundreds of times thinner than a human hair. This isn't skin anymore, it's nanoscale fuzz, and it isn't over yet. Zoom in one last time. The tip of every hair splits into hundreds of even tinier paddle-shaped structures called spatulae, each just tens of nanometers wide, the scale of individual molecules. A forest, inside a forest, inside a forest. Put it all together, millions of hairs, each ending in hundreds of paddles. That's billions of nanotips on a single foot, all pressing against the surface and following its every microscopic bump. The contact area adds up to something enormous. Now the force itself, van der Waals force a weak attraction that appears between any two molecules brought close enough within a fraction of a nanometer. It's happening everywhere, all the time. We simply never notice it. On its own, the pull of one nanotip on glass is laughably small. It couldn't hold a speck of dust, let alone a lizard. But multiply that near nothing by billions of tips pressed down at once, and drop by drop, it adds up to a real, usable force, more than enough to support a gecko's weight. Calculations suggest a gecko's feet could hold many times its own body weight. It clings using only a fraction of its full grip. And here's the key insight. It isn't a sticky substance doing the work, it's shape. Split a surface into billions of nanotips, press them close, and a weak force turns mighty. Pure geometry, not chemistry. So, how does it ever let go if the grip is this strong? Here's the second secret. Gecko adhesion is directional. Pull the hairs one way along the surface, and they dig in and hold. Peel them the other way, and they release instantly. That's exactly how it runs across walls. Press down to stick, tilt the toe to release switching grip on and off in milliseconds, dozens of times a second while running. And it costs almost no energy. Nothing to squeeze or press to stick, just a change of angle to let go. Look at him. Upside down, full weight on smooth glass. No glue, no suction. He's just standing there. That's the whole mystery. That's the trick. He doesn't peel straight off. He rolls his foot sideways, and it releases instantly. Our climbing robots copy exactly that motion. One more brilliant detail. Gecko feet clean themselves dust that sticks to the hairs falls away as it moves, so grip never fades the way dusty tape does. Compare that to glue, which sticks once, then gets dirty and dries out. Tape that loses its grip once dusty. Suction that fails without air. Every ordinary adhesive has a weak point. Gecko grip has none of those problems. Reusable for thousands of cycles, leaves no residue, switches on and off on command. And crucially, it needs no air, no moisture, no warmth. Van der Waals attraction works the same in a vacuum or in brutal cold. Where suction and glue give up, dry gecko grip keeps holding. Put it together and it sounds like the perfect fastener engineers could only dream of. So scientists set out to copy it, casting soft polymers into tiny hairs and angled paddles, not identical to a gecko's fuzz, but built on the same principle. Countless small tips, directional grip. Under a microscope, these materials really do look like a forest of tiny mushrooms or tilted petals. Press them the right way, and they grip almost anything smooth. Change the angle, and they release. Stanford was first to build robots with pads like these, and they climbed straight up vertical glass, just like the real thing. Then came something out of a movie. Engineers built handheld pads, and a person climbed a sheer glass wall like Spider-Man. No ropes, no suction, just synthetic nanohairs holding an adult's full weight. The same idea produced robotic grippers that don't need to squeeze an object to hold it. They simply press against the surface and hold with van der Waals force alone. That's priceless for anything delicate. A smooth ball, a glass panel, an odd object with no handle at all where ordinary fingers would crush or fail to grip. A gecko gripper presses gently to a side and lifts. Now, for the most dramatic application of all, space, where astronauts and robots constantly need to grab things. Docking modules, catching debris, and the usual tricks barely work. Suction cups need outside air, and there's none in a vacuum useless. Glue and tape stiffen in extreme cold and lose their grip. Magnets only work on metal. Catching a smooth, tumbling satellite seemed nearly impossible until NASA remembered the gecko, building gecko grippers with synthetic nanofuzz that cling to smooth surfaces where everything else fails. Because van der Waals force doesn't care about vacuum at all. Such a gripper can gently grab a tumbling satellite or piece of debris without pushing it away or damaging it. Press, stick, pull in. And that directional release matters enormously. Load it one way and it holds, tilt it and it lets go instantly, with no jolt ideal in zero gravity, where every bump matters. These grippers have already been tested on parabolic flights and aboard the space station itself, a lizard's foot, at work in orbit. Back on Earth, researchers in Massachusetts built Gexkin, a postcard-sized pad, a soft membrane on a stiff backing that spreads the load evenly that holds several hundred kilograms on plain glass, peels off cleanly, and reattaches instantly, hanging a TV with no nails. On the horizon, medical tape that could seal wounds inside the body, though moisture remains the hard part. Since water weakens the same molecular attraction, researchers are already combining gecko microstructure with water-repelling layers to work around it. Factories already use gecko grippers on glass, screens, and silicon wafers, anything smooth and fragile that can't be squeezed or glued. To be fair, we still can't fully match the real thing. Keeping billions of nanotips clean, strong, and uniform over a large area is brutally hard, and nature still holds the edge. But even an imperfect copy gives us something we never had. Adhesion without glue or suction that works in a vacuum, stays clean, and lasts thousands of cycles. What's most striking is that the gecko never invented a special glue. Its superpower is shape, a structure of billions of tips that turns the weakest force in nature into a solid grip. Evolution solved this puzzle tens of millions of years before us. The answer was running up cliff faces the whole time. Just too small. To see, sometimes the greatest feat of engineering is hiding in something too tiny to notice. Oh, you're still here? Thanks for watching. All right, I'm done here. Catch you later, yeah?